Welcome back to day 4 of the Digital Ecosystem Week. COVID-19 is still among us. We must win this fight together. Before we move on to our final session of the week, here's a short clip to emphasize that we all need to fight this pandemic together by getting our vaccination shots and to avoid crowded spaces at all costs. So do take all the necessary precautions and precautionary measures to prevent from getting infected. But most importantly, stay safe and stay home. Hashtag lindung diri, lindung semua.
Okay. Rolling. Stand by.
Tiap hari penuh cabaran, menghadapi ketidaktentuan. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Norma baru reality, kita semua akan menghadapi. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Perjuangan demi negara, capai kejayaan bersama. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Marilah kita bersama, vaksinasi akan menyelamatkan kita. Ayo semua sekeluarga, kawan-kawan dan jiran, tetangga. Imunisasi, kita semua akan menghargai. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Mari kita bergandeng tangan, satu negara, satu tujuan. Sebarang cabaran, membangun dengan penuh keyakinan. Yeah! Apabila kita berjaya, semua selamat dan ceria. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Lindung diri, semua. Lindung diri, lindung semua. Lindung diri, lindung semua.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's move on to our next session with a large group of distinguished panelists in a session entitled E-Commerce for All, Assistive Technologies for the Disabled. I'm so excited. I've already tagged my friends, my disabled paraplegic friends, my friends working in the Malaysian Association of Blind, friends in the Penang Deaf Association too, to join in for this evening. So, moderating this session is Norezali Osman, Head of E-Commerce Adoption, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. He is also heading the National E-Commerce Strategic Roadmap implementation under MDEC, where his main responsibility is to lead and formulate short and long-term plans for the overall e-commerce industry development and the adoption of e-commerce technologies across verticals. Therefore, over to you, Norzali.
Thank you, Azrul. Assalamualaikum and afternoon. Thank you all for staying in tune throughout our program in MTM 2021. Welcome to our session on e-commerce for all, assistive technologies for the disabled. We will be discussing on available supports and technologies for the disabled, or commonly we refer as OKU, as they look for opportunity to run business in e-commerce. I am Izali, Head of E-Commerce Seller Adoption at MDEC. Actually, I would like to thank to the organizer, thanks to my team, Razin Nadra. Actually, this topic is really close to my heart. When I was young, I had witnessed how the blind community use technology in their daily life. For example, I can see how they use radio technology to watch last time sitcom, Pimai Tang Tu. A lot of laughter, a lot of smiles. I can see their joy and happiness when they listen to the radio for this sitcom series, TV series. And now we can see how the technology, for example, like voice reader in the smartphone for them to read the email. But today our focus is how e-commerce technology can benefit our OKU community. Please join us please join me to welcome our expert panelists who are here to share their input and expertise in e-commerce. Together with me, I have Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Ras Adi Barazi, Ahli Dewan Negara and President of OKU Central. Datuk, Mr. Faris Ahmad, Chief Marketing Officer, Mainik Berhad, Mr. Z. Lee, Senior Manager, Business Development, Shopee Malaysia, Encik Ahmad Shah Wahid, Founder and CEO of eLocal Sdn Bhd, dan last but not least, Encik Azizi Aziz, Ketua Unit Keusahawanan Politeknik Tuanku Syed Sirajuddin. We know him as a subject matter expert for e-usahawan program, especially for this disabled. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. Without further ado, allow me to begin the session by addressing the topic of our discussion. E-commerce industry in Malaysia has seen steady growth over the past few years and through various initiatives by public and private sectors. We have seen a rapid adoption of e-commerce among businesses, SMEs and new entrepreneurs. E-commerce has allowed continuous operation of business to business and business to consumer and provided opportunities to anyone and everyone to kick off their business throughout various programs and platforms, especially during this current pandemic. However, this opportunity comes with a list of challenges. Onboarding this platform and managing business operation might be accessible to all, but would be challenging to some. Our first session will be focusing on the government support and activities for the OKU community. In the past few years, we have seen strong government support by ministries, agencies for e-commerce training, onboarding, selling programs such as Penjana, Belanjawan 2021, e-Usahawan, Go E-Commerce, Pedas, Shop Malaysia Online, and many more. Yang Berhormat Senator Dato', in your view, do you think it is important for the government, be it through ministry and agencies, to put an emphasis to support OKU to start their e-commerce business? Over to you, Dato'.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. Yes, I truly agree with you that the government needs to come in full force, actually, to help the OKU community, the disabled community, because there are 7 categories of us, and out of the 7, 15% of that under WHO of a country's population would be the disabled. Meaning dekat Malaysia, in Malaysia that would be about 4.7 million. Hence, there's so much things that we can do for the different categories of the disabled. And when you say helping the OKU entrepreneurs, it's not just giving money per se, but it's also assisting them, showing them the way to empower them, so that they can rise together. And when I say assisting is doing programs like what you guys have been discussing, which is actually now with the current pandemic situation, we are going online and to support them. But having them to go online is also another problem, which is also a concern, whereby my disabled friends, not everybody has an up-to-date or a good telephone. So that could be a hindrance for them to go into doing business, you know. So, and then another thing is not everybody can afford the internet lines. So there must be something that we can do, all government sectors, hand in hand, to see how best we can assist the disabled so that they can be independent, you know, on their own. It is important to have empathy, but it's also important for us to respect the fact that the disabled also have their own mind, and they have their own will, and they also have their own wants and needs. We must always, when we talk about entrepreneur, how to make people rise and how to make people economically, you know, they can sustain themselves economically, we must also take into consideration the different categories, as I mentioned. Assist them, understand them, and see, when you're talking about e-commerce, how can we assist the different categories? What are their needs? The gadgets that they need, the software that they need for their different disability, having sign language interpreters, and then also very important is for us to war-warkan, to share on how best that we can have public service announcements and also announcements for them so that they can reach. When you want to reach out to them, you must make sure that they are listening to you. But if they cannot, when the what you want to send out, the messages you want to send out to them does not reach them, it's also no point. So giving them assistance is one thing, but making sure that that assistance comes in the right way for each of their needs is another thing.
Okay, I just pick up from your statement just now. Give assistance is the right thing, and then we need to get empathy to this community. We understand their challenges and everything. So for the government authority, is there any upcoming agenda specifically to help this community?
Well, as we all know, at the moment, we have to wait and see. The current situation warrants us to be a tad patient to see the developments of what's going on in the political fraternity. But having said that, I have to say that the multimedia ministry, the women's ministry, Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita, Keluarga dan Masyarakat, they're doing their very best. Also, the human resource ministry, they're coming together, coming out with all the plans that we have been discussing, you've been discussing all this couple of months since last year during the pandemic. So yeah, it's I look forward to being able to continue to work with the different government agencies to see how best we can support the community of the disabled. Like I said, it's not just about giving money. It's about being there for them. It's about giving them the service for the specific requirements, the specific categories, and then on we can fly. It's not the word, for me, the word impossible does not exist. Everything is possible for us to do what we want to do to empower the disabled. But you cannot do things about us without us. I give you an example. If we are having a committee and we want to do something for the disabled, you must make sure that they are part of your community. I mean, of your committee, sorry, to make these decisions and what are their requirements, what are their needs. We cannot assume that this would be good for them, this would be good for them, because we're not in their shoes. So it's always, it's only right for us to make sure that we have the different categories to be part of the committee so that we are listening to them and we're not doing as we please. Kita tidak membuat sesuatu itu membabi buta. We are doing something because we know these are their needs. These are their requirements. These are the software that they need. These are the sign language interpreters that will assist. So a lot of things we can do together. But like I said, I would really love to continue to support with my task force team, with all the government agencies, so that we can make sure what we do is not just word of mouth only. I mean, it's not just talk, but it's something that will benefit them. Sometimes some programs that we do, we say, okay, this will help, but it's only short term. So I must always think of the long term.
Thank you, Dato'. I think it's a great insight from you. So, and then good to know that government is really have this upcoming agenda to help this community, and then with the involvement of Dato' in this community, we help them to guide them, especially to this public sector and private sector, to create content or to create a program that really suit to that particular community. So thank you for your view. So Encik Faris, when we understand that MINIC has initiated an outreach program to provide ICT and social media training to several OKU organizations nationwide since I believe since last year. So my question to you, is there a specific emphasis on e-commerce in the outreach program? Perhaps maybe you can share with us what are the technology or technology tools or platform utilized to achieve this? Ya, over to you, Faris.
Okey, terima kasih Tuan Moderator. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera kepada YB Senator Dato', juga kepada rakan-rakan panel lain, Encik Zadli daripada Shopee, Encik Aizi, Pakar usahawan kita, Encik Ahmad daripada eLocal. Sebelum saya discuss this matter at length, allow me to introduce MINIC to the audience outside that. MINIC ni actually is one of the agency yang terlibat dengan pendigitalan dan di dalam sebagai pengupaya untuk ekonomi digital di Malaysia, yang mana MINIC ni kami telah berkecimpung dengan pendigitalan daripada tahun 1987, dan kami juga merupakan antara agensi terawal yang terlibat dengan inisiatif pendigitalan. Jadi MINIC juga, kalau tuan-tuan perempuan biasa nampak dekat website, dekat mana-mana nama domain .my, .my itulah kami. Kami merupakan operator dan juga pendaftar tunggal untuk nama domain .my, yang mewakili Malaysia di pentas internet lokal dan juga international. Jadi kami punya program-program untuk OKU ni sebenarnya bermula pada tahun 2020 bersempena dengan pelancaran Hari OKU Sedunia. Jadi orang pertama yang kita reach out masa itu selepas kita membuat pelancaran adalah kita reach out kepada YB Senator Dato', and we have a very in-depth discussion dan kami cuba memahami OKU ni. Dan alhamdulillah we get a very good feedback daripada YB Senator Dato'. Terima kasih YB. Dan lepas tu kami mula memperkenalkan, kami ada membuat tawaran-tawaran istimewa untuk para OKU. Yang pertama kami mulakan dengan kami memberikan mereka 50% diskaun langganan nama domain .my seumur hidup. Bukan setahun, bukan 2 tahun, kami berikan untuk tempoh seumur hidup. Lepas tu kita pergi to the next level, kita berikan percuma dengan percuma nama domain .my yang digabungkan dengan aplikasi pemasaran digital yang kami bangunkan sendiri, iaitu GoToBrand Standard. Kami berikan mereka GoToBrand Standard. Dan pada OKU yang mendaftar ni, kami hubungi mereka, kami ajar mereka dan kami buat latihan keusahawanan digital untuk mereka. Kami buat latihan keusahawanan digital untuk mereka, untuk menerangkan kepada mereka pentingnya, perlunya mereka sebagai usahawan OKU untuk mengadaptasi teknologi digital untuk kelangsungan perniagaan mereka, untuk meningkatkan pendapatan mereka dan untuk membina satu ekosistem ekonomi di kalangan OKU yang kukuh. Itu yang kita kena faham, sebab it's a trend. Apabila seorang OKU itu berjaya, mereka akan ambil lebih ramai pekerja di kalangan rakan-rakan mereka juga. Itu satu ekosistem yang sangat penting untuk mereka. Dan kami juga melakukan program-program outreach, Tuan Moderator. Kami melakukan program-program outreach yang mana kami berhubung dan kami bekerjasama dengan lebih daripada 20 pertubuhan OKU dan NGO OKU, yang mana kami pergi berjumpa dengan mereka sama ada secara fizikal ataupun secara maya untuk kita menerangkan tentang keperluan mereka untuk memulakan perniagaan. Sebab kita dapati mereka ni mempunyai semangat yang tinggi nak berjaya, tapi mereka tak tahu. Mereka tak tahu aplikasi apa yang nak digunakan, mereka tak tahu apakah platform-platform yang available untuk mereka. Jadi apabila kami membuat penerangan dekat situ, kita nampak from the glow of their eyes tu, kita nampak yang mereka ni bersemangat untuk mengubah kehidupan mereka. Kan, tak nak lagi berharap bergantung kepada bantuan-bantuan yang kerajaan berikan. Jadi daripada situ, kita teruskan lagi dan baru-baru ni saya juga ada berbincang dengan Puan Dr. Ruziah Ghazali. Dr. Ruziah Ghazali ini dia merupakan penasihat untuk Persatuan Orang Kerdil Malaysia. Dan juga beliau merupakan Ketua Cawangan Komunikasi Penghakupayaan OKU di bahagian Perkhidmatan Komunikasi Pembangunan Masyarakat di bawah Jabatan Penerangan. Dan kami tengah merancang beberapa inisiatif-inisiatif di bawah program kerjasama kerjaya dan keusahanan OKU yang akan dilakukan, dia akan diadakan pada tahun ini dan juga pada tahun hadapan. Ya, pada tahun ini dan juga tahun hadapan. Jadi bila kami buat latihan untuk OKU ni, kami akan lihat balik. Kami akan lihat jenis kecacatan mereka, jenis disability mereka dan kami padankan dengan sistem-sistem yang tertentu. Kami juga aktif bekerjasama dengan National Council of Blind Malaysia, iaitu dengan Cik Moses ya, untuk memberikan kesedaran-kesedaran kepada web content developer, web author di luar sana apabila mereka membuat apa-apa sesuatu aplikasi ataupun mereka membuat apa-apa laman sesawang website, mereka mestilah mematuhi standard WCAG, iaitu Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Hanya sebab apa? Apabila mereka mematuhi standard WCAG ni, maka bolehlah orang-orang OKU penglihatan menggunakan fungsi ataupun features yang ada dekat laman web ataupun aplikasi tersebut. Itu sangat penting. Sebab tu kalau kita tengok macam contohnya Maybank to You, kenapa sampai hari ni kita nampak Maybank to You, dia ada Maybank to You yang baru dan masih ada Maybank to You yang lama. Kerana Maybank to You yang baru tu dia tak mematuhi standard WCAG. Ya, sebab itu masih ada lagi Maybank to You yang lama untuk membolehkan golongan-golongan OKU penglihatan menggunakan fungsi yang ada tersebut. Itu Cik Tuan Moderator.
Okay, thank you, Cik Faris. Very insightful. So I believe mining have so many program outreach like Dato' Senator also mentioned. You have a specific program or specific outreach to the specific community, right? We need to understand their challenges. We need to understand how we categorize these people and everything. So far, Cik Faris, maybe I can ask you, what are the achievement thus far for mining in terms of the outreach and awareness program to this community?
Kalau macam katakan kita nak bercerita tentang daripada sudut outreach program kita yang kita dah buat, in total sebenarnya kita dah berhubung dengan lebih kurang 26 persatuan dan juga NGO NGO OKU. Dan kalau macam daripada sudut latihan, kami dah melatih lebih kurang dalam 500 orang lah setakat ini, 500 orang yang kami dah latih. Dan alhamdulillah melihat memberikan satu latihan kepada mereka dengan program-program handholding, ya, walaupun ada yang kita latih pada tahun lepas, tapi jalinan perhubungan kita dengan mereka tu sampai hari ini masih berlaku, kan? Sebab kerana mereka masih lagi berhubung dengan kami, bertanya macam mana nak update, macam mana nak upgrade, macam mana nak menambah lagi sesuatu. Jadi latihan kami lebih bersifat berkisar kepada yang pertama, kami akan pastikan mereka sudah melengkapkan ekosistem e-dagang mereka, Cik Izzali. Pertama sekali mereka kena ada social media, mereka kena ada, sebab tu wajib mereka kena ada. Mereka kena ada e-marketplace, sebab macam contohnya Shopee has been doing a very good job. Mereka telah menyediakan pasaran yang tersedia, ya, yang dah tersedia dengan berjuta orang bakal pelanggan yang ada. Dan akhirnya kami lengkapkan mereka punya kehadiran online dengan memberikan mereka laman sesawang full e-commerce. Ya, laman sesawang full e-commerce. Jadi kita juga bantu mereka, kita terangkan macam contohnya apa jenis-jenis produk yang you tak boleh nak pasarkan, tak boleh nak iklankan dekat Facebook. Jadi daripada situ macam contohnya antara contoh-contoh kejayaan yang ada, kita tengok macam contoh Deep Garage lah. Ya, Deep Garage ni dia berniaga di platform Shopee ada, di platform Facebook ada, dan yang terbaru adalah website dia. So di awal-awal penubuhan mereka tu, mereka menjual produk mechanical yang membolehkan orang-orang paraplegic, lumpuh daripada pinggang ke bawah, dan juga orang-orang kerdil untuk memandu semula menggunakan hand control device machine yang telah diluluskan oleh JPJ. Jadi bila kita nampak potensi yang ada tu, kita bantu mereka daripada jualan 7 ke 8 ribu ringgit sebulan ni. Sekarang mereka punya pendapatan purata sebulan dah mencecah hingga 25 ribu. Dan yang paling membanggakan pada bulan 5 itu hari, pendapatan dia garaj pada that particular month mencecah 100 ribu ringgit. Ya, 100 ribu ringgit. Kami ada juga macam contoh latihan yang kami buat. Macam YB Senator tadi cakap betul, tak semua OKU tu mempunyai peranti atau device yang up to date. Ya. Tapi kita ada berjumpa juga dengan OKU yang mempunyai semangat yang kuat. Macam contohnya Encik, nama dia is Encik Faizul Zuki. Dia cacat penglihatan. Ya, dia cacat penglihatan dan dia sertai latihan kita tu dengan pergi kepada pusat internet community. Ya, pusat internet community yang kerajaan ada sediakan, dah ada laptop dekat situ pun semua, dan dia belajar cara buat website dekat situ, dan alhamdulillah kan perniagaannya berkembang. Website dia is cuci kapet Bukit Beruntung. So siapa-siapa orang Bukit Beruntung boleh pergi ke website dia untuk gunakan perkhidmatan dia. Dan sebelum PKP 2.0 itu hari, dia dah mampu beli lori. Dah mampu beli lori dengan pendapatan di purata dia kata antara 8 ke 10 ribu. Jadi ni antara contoh-contoh apabila mereka ni betul-betul punya semangat kan. Mereka faham apa yang mereka nak. Mereka ingin berubah kan, mereka boleh pergi. Dan sekarang ni kita sambung lagi program-program tu di bawah program Prime yang kami rebranding balik kami punya inisiatif, iaitu program realisasi impian usahawan digital. Ya, dengan discussion kami dengan pihak Japan, insya-Allah kami akan cuba membantu lebih ramai OKU di luar sana, terutama usahawan-usahawan yang hendak berjaya.
Yeah, we can hear, alhamdulillah, we can see a lot of success stories, yang we can yang hasil daripada MyNIC program. And we can see from the blind community, from the disabled community, how they can get income from 35k to 100k a month and everything. So okay, thank you for to Yang Berhormat Senator Dato' Encik Faris for the insight. So now I would like to move to the second part of our discussion where we focus on the industry player support. So I would like to bring the discussion with the industry players. We understand that Shopee and eLocal have assisted OKU entrepreneurs in their effort to run successful e-commerce business. Perhaps Mr. Zedli and Mr. Ahmad Shah can enlighten us how of this support work. Is the onboarding process the same with the OKU and any other sellers, or are there any so-called special technologies or methodologies to deploy for this purpose? So I think we start with Mr. Zedli first.
Sure, thank you, Sheikh Razali. Thanks for MDAC for having me here. Hello to all my fellow panelists and audience as well. So that's a very good question, right? So how do we help OKUs succeed online, especially during this period of time where it's just very hard for everyone to do business, right? And the honest story is that when we first started out with Shopee, right, to help sellers sell online, we didn't necessarily have OKUs in mind. What we had in mind was just to make it as easy as possible for everyone out there, as many as people as possible, to be able to sell online and be able to support themselves as well as their families. And very fortunate for us, we have been able to help a lot of our sellers from the OKU community. And that's where we're starting to focus a lot more effort and attention to try to help these guys come on board as well. Now, I think first and foremost, when we talk about sellers from the OKU community, it is to understand that not all of them are the same, right? Different people have different disabilities. And very often what you find is that some of these disabilities actually doesn't disadvantage them from selling online at all. We have sellers like Zida. She's from Kedah. She sells dried goods online, right? She essentially lost a limb because of cancer, right? But in the online world, she's no different from you and me. She's no different from any sellers online, because in online world, that disability doesn't matter. And she's a very successful businesswoman who started her business from nothing into a small company employing 5 people. And what's very interesting as well is that she also went to the extent of helping these people learn how to sell online themselves, right? Her sales, I remember she mentioned before that it peaked a couple of months ago to about 5 figures of sales per week. So very successful. So there's a group of OKU sellers who are just as capable and just as successful online as any other person out there. So that's one group. I think what you also mentioned as well is that there's also a separate group of sellers that need additional help because the online world might not be as accessible to them. Like what Sheikh Faris mentioned, there needs to be certain accessibility standards that we try to implement to make things easier, right? So as far as possible, when we design features on an app, on a website, we try to comply as much as possible to the accessibility standards to make these sites easier to access for our sellers. So a very good example of a seller who has found this helpful was Yusri. So Yusri is very interesting, right? So he himself is a blind person. His wife is also blind. And when he first started out on e-commerce, they started because they had no choice. They used to be in a restaurant business. They were working in the F&B industry, but they were retrenched because of the COVID situation. So no choice, had to go online and sell. That was the only option. And they did it by reaching out to a friend of theirs, a university classmate who was a successful seller on Shopee. So they knew the classmate did well. They said, hey, how do I sell online? Can you teach me? Help me get started. And that's how the classmate helped them photos, set up a store, and then allowed them to start their business online as well. And very interestingly, there are some technologies that are helpful in helping them navigate online. There's a special app they use. It's called TalkBack, one of many apps out there. But Yusri says that this is the best. So I think this is the one we recommend to most people. What it does is that it helps them read aloud whatever is on the app or on the website. So even if you cannot see, you can know what's going on. And this actually allows them to operate the store themselves, ship out the parcels themselves, and then essentially run the business on their own after their friend has helped set it up for them. So in this kind of situations, these additional technologies become very helpful to get them started as well. And that's how Yusri started out his business selling sambal hitam to get his wife. The business is called Yusri and Jia. Now, what's very interesting is that while there's a lot more that we as industry players, as government, together work together to run programs, special education to help OKU sellers succeed online. I think what is very heartening is that a lot of success doesn't just come from us as industry players and government bodies, but from the community as well. You noticed just now how I mentioned the reason why Yusri was able to get online was because his university classmate was able to teach him. And then what happened as well for some of the other OKU sellers like Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu is an OKU seller. He sells car perfume. The reason he succeeded online as well was another seller in the community noticed that he was selling. And he said, hey guys, can we come and support him? He's starting out his business, needs help. And that's how he got a lot of attention and became very successful online as well. So really it's not just players, but it's also sellers within the community helping each other. And that's something we build and encourage a lot. So we have a seller community on Facebook, more than 20,000 sellers. And the great thing is that these guys are very forthcoming in helping each other. Zida as well herself, she is very well known in the community for being super helpful. So she helps other sellers and she is very willing to share knowledge. And that's how we all come together as a community to help each other succeed online. And that's how we are going to enable our OKUs to also learn and do well in this e-commerce industry. So on top of that, we're also learning as well. So we're learning from Yusri after talking to him, asking him, hey, so what can we do to help people who may have to be visually inclined learn and sell online? And one of the feedback we got was that we have something called Shopee University, right? And it's a webinar online where sellers for free can learn how to sell. And Shopee University is primarily video plus sound, right? So sound is no problem, but what he mentioned to us was that maybe the video portion might be a bit tougher because he cannot see what's going on. So we're actually working with him to develop some syllabus right now that are friendly to people with visual impairment, which allows them to not only follow a class, but actually tactically feel the content that's being described as well. So all these materials are being developed and getting more and more mature. And that's something very keen to work with other players and sellers community in order to be able to help our OKU sellers be successful on e-commerce.
Interesting, Mr. Zelly, how this Shopee have this seller community to help each other in terms of developing their product, developing their business via Shopee platform. But just additional question: how this community engage? Is it now online, or do you have any some sort of like event or road shows to engage with this OKU community?
Yes. So unfortunately, everything's online right now. We used to have a lot of more offline workshops, roadshows, where we invite people into office. And we also reach out to different states where we travel to East Malaysia. We travel to individual states to hold events where we can help sellers go online. So right now, primarily still online itself. But this is something that we're hoping to be able to resume once the COVID situation passes. Because I think one of the things that you are also alluding to is that sometimes it might not be so easy for sellers from OKU community to find access to these online webinars and community. And our ability to be there to help support them is something that we want to be able to do more of as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we all get vaccinated really soon, and then we'll be able to head out back into the offline world again.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zedli. So maybe we move to Encik Ahmad. I think let's hear your view on this matter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, selamat petang. I think sebenarnya for eLocal, we are the administrator for the Samut at KPLB. So this program is actually cater for the rural entrepreneurs, whereby dekat sana there are a lot of categories of entrepreneurs, especially in the rural area. And in terms of rural entrepreneur yang OKU, yes, we do have a few of them, actually quite a lot, whereby kita tidak menggunakan technology per se, because from the online perspective, yes, we have all the e-marketplace, especially now this summer as well, it's also on Shopee. And I think what we have done is that we extend the services to the OKU community. For example, kalau usahawan tu ada produk and he or she does not have the means to go online, for example, mungkin tak ada laptop, mungkin tak ada phone, tapi masih produce product. This is where eLocal and the Samut will play a big role, whereby we actually we handhold them, and from there we give them, for example, how kita nak ambil gambar, kita ambil gambar, we process the order for them. We actually do the entire ecosystem of the online on behalf of the seller. Sebab kebanyakan usaha luar bandar or the OKU especially, they don't have the time, or maybe like I said, maybe they don't have the equipment to do so. So this is where the Samut KPLB, we actually outreach, we extend the handhold service to the OKU sellers. So kita ada beberapa usahawan yang dari Kedah, dari Semenanjung, especially Johor, dan di mana mereka ni memang memerlukan bantuan dari segi bagaimana untuk memasarkan produk mereka secara atas talian. So for example, the Samut KPLB is on main marketplaces. In this case, I have to say thank you to Zedli lah, because our store, our Samut KPLB on Shopee is doing really well, especially bila when it's on 8 or 9 or 10 11. All the sellers under the Samut KPLB is doing really well. For example, yang mana-mana produk-produk OKU ni, ada yang produk makanan, ada yang produk kraftangan, tapi kebanyakannya produk kraftangan. So we actually help them in terms of, okay, how do you upload the product? We upload the product. You focus on producing sahaja. I think because this is where your strength is. If you want to learn how to sell online, yes, we can help you. But of course, like Shopee, ada Shopee University, so they can actually learn from there as well. Tapi because in this particular pandemic ni, kebanyakan usahawan kita memerlukan sale yang cepat. They need fast return. They need the cash now. So rather than kita kata belajar, tak apa. You can learn at your time, but on our part, kita akan cuba untuk jual. We sell the product as fast as we can so that you can roll your business, you can make money ASAP, so that you can do more production. Mana boleh buat lagi. So itulah tugas-tugas kita lah kepada usahawan luar bandar, especially luar bandar. Sebab banyak usahawan luar bandar ni memerlukan bantuan. They need help in terms of, Cik Syah, how do I go online? Yes, I do know I have so many platforms I can choose, tapi what's the best way? So what we do is, like I said, kita berikan diorang a service whereby, bro, you just focus on your production, we help you to do the rest sampailah delivery. Right, so so by the end of the month, you get your money. So that's what we do. So I think this is one of the ways that technology tapi human touch. Kita masih menggunakan human touch dengan dia, sebab sebenarnya orang luar bandar ni lebih suka kita one on one bersemuka, talk to them, they sentimental, they like to see us. They online ni okay, it's good, tapi they still need us to be there with them. So these are one of the ways that we help them lah sebenarnya.
Interesting. I think indeed we can see the industry players, the e-commerce platform supportive of this OKU entrepreneur and the luar bandar entrepreneur, and hopefully with all this effort we could encourage more and more OKU to be part of the e-commerce in the near future. See, we have sometimes we have got few sometimes. So maybe I would like to ask this question to the platform provider. Based on your current implementation, do you provide emphasis on this OKU to get them on board of e-commerce, or they're similar like other sellers? They come to you and they say they want to onboard into e-commerce, or you have a dedicated program to encourage these people to onboard into this e-commerce? So maybe we start with the e-local dulu.
Oh, okay. So under e-local, together with the Samuel KPLB di bawah Kementerian Luar Bandar, yes, we do onboarding programs all over Malaysia, including Sabah, Sarawak. So at current state now, yes, we are doing onboarding programs with 5 states, Negeri Sembilan, Negeri Sembilan, Sabah, Sarawak. Yes, we actually have we requested if any of the sellers in this state ada yang OKU, we request them to come in supaya kita boleh bantu directly. So we have a specific PIC for OKU sebab mungkin dia perlukan lebih bantuan dari segi, for example, what is SKU? Mungkin dia tak tahu apa SKU kan, so they need to understand what is SKU. So we have a dedicated program whereby we help the sellers in terms of daripada state-state yang macam saya cakap tadi, supaya lebih mudah untuk kita excel diorang online, sebab kemungkinan in terms of what are the requirements they need, dia tak tahu. For example, SSM and product, SKU, price, all this. So we actually have a program where we help them lah sebenarnya. Sebenarnya kebanyakan usahawan-usahawan kita ni still memerlukan bantuan dari segi macam mana saya nak buat ni. That's even though dia orang buka OKU, mereka still perlukan bantuan. That's on our side.
Okay, cool. Zed, anything from Shopee?
Sure. Yeah. So what's interesting is our programs are generally outreach programs. So very similar to e-local, we reach out communities to bring them on board. And because of the recent trend where we see a lot of OKU sellers then go online, there are examples of successful case studies like Uncle Fu, who, because he succeeded, then we see a lot more OKU sellers coming online seeking help. And we used to do this a little bit more ad hoc, right? So if someone needs help, we go reach out to them. And then we started putting in place a SOP on how to help these people as well. But what we are moving beyond this as well is that now that we're starting to develop syllabus and content that's more accessible to some OKUs who have visually impaired, who have maybe hearing impediments, we're starting to also reach out to the associations who these OKUs serve and form, to reach out through them, to understand what their needs are, and then how to reach also other OKU sellers who might need the help. Because there are some people who hear about us, the success stories, but there are many more people out there who run businesses offline, but may struggle online with disabilities that can reach through these associations. So what we're essentially leveraging associations to help us do the outreach so that we can deliver content properly to ourselves out there as well.
Yeah, great. So to those OKU, I believe OKU out there, OKU community out there, we already hear that from the government perspective, from the industry player, we try to bring more and more OKUs to earn more income, to grow your business, to start your business and everything. So let's move a bit from the government and private sector initiative. We go into our final segment or the third segment of our session today. So on the training for the OKU. So let's talk about the training for OKU. I believe myself, along with the rest of the viewers out there, are curious to understand what are the technology support or tools or devices used by the OKU entrepreneurs in running their business. Is there any specific technology or tools? Maybe Encik Azizi, appreciate if you can share with us what are the current training programs or activities conducted for OKU on e-commerce, and what are the methodology and tools used to teach this OKU community? Yeah, over to you, Encik Azizi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih kepada tuan moderator Encik Izali dan juga para panel semua. Okey, saya pertama kali saya ucapkan terima kasihlah kepada MDEC sendiri atas jemputan program ini, dan saya berbalik kepada soalan yang dikemukakan oleh Tuan tadi tu. Okey, jadi satu pengalaman yang menarik sebenarnya. Sebenarnya kalau kita lihat kepada program ini di bawah e-usahawan, sebenarnya kalau saya nak fahamkan balik tentang apa tugas saya sebenarnya dan beberapa sahabat-sahabat saya dalam berkaitan dengan program e-usahawan di sini, iaitu kalau dilihat di situ ialah e-usahawan ataupun e-usahawan subject matter expert. Kalau tuan-tuan perasan di sini, sebenarnya kami berfungsi sebagai satu pihak yang membantu MDEC sendiri untuk pertama untuk membangun dan juga menambah baik kita panggil modul e-usahawan. Dan satu lagi ialah kami juga terlibat dalam memberi ataupun kita menjalankan latihan kepada para semualah, tak kisah daripada di kalangan peringkat, di mana kami bukan setakat kepada di kalangan TVET sistem ataupun di kalangan universiti, pensyarah, dan juga di kalangan trainer yang melibatkan dalam bidang mikro. Kami juga melibatkan program-program yang katakan special project ni. Okey, so untuk saya nak berkongsikan tentang training ni kepada tuan moderator sendiri, saya ucapkan terima kasihlah kepada pihak MDEC atas inisiatif dalam memberikan peluang kepada satu pihak yang saya rasakan pihak ini pun perlu kita berikan satu pendedahan yang saya kata amat baik dan juga lebih bersistematik lah dari segi latihan dan sebagainya. Tadi banyak dikupaskan oleh para panel tadi berkaitan dengan pandangan mereka di sini. Saya menyokong dengan apa yang disampaikan dan saya memang bersetuju dengan apa yang dibuat. Sebabnya, ini saya katakan tadi, bila saya terlibat dalam training ini, saya melihat salah satu program yang di bawah MDEC iaitu special project. Ini saya sebut tentang special project ni bukan apa. Sebabnya orang yang ataupun pihak yang kami training ni ialah di kalangan kelainan upaya. Kelainan upaya ni bukan kelainan upaya yang biasa, tetapi mereka ni tidak mempunyai kemampuan dari segi penglihatan. Dengan kata lain ialah masalah penglihatan, okey, itu, dan satu lagi yang menarik ialah pekak dan bisu. Ini dua golongan yang kami terlibat. Okey, yang pertama saya nak kupaskan tentang di kalangan kelainan upaya yang di kalangan mereka yang dikenali sebagai orang buta lah. Okey, di sini pihak MDEC telah menjalankan satu program kerjasama yang erat bersama Persatuan Orang Buta Malaysia. Tak salah saya pada tahun 2018 program ini telah dijalankan bersama dengan MAB di Brickfield, di mana di situ kami telah menjalankan latihan kepada para tenaga pengajar. Sebab di dalam salah satu modul di dalam program di bawah MAB ni ada yang menyentuh tentang keusahawanan. Tadi yang dibincangkan tadi tu tentang khusus keusahawanan. Di situlah kami embed kepada e-usahawan, di mana kita masukkan elemen-elemen yang relate dengan social media marketing contohnya di situ. Okey, itu satu perkara yang menarik. Yang kedua yang paling menarik ialah bagaimana kita nak deliverkan. Itu yang saya katakan tadi, kita nak sampaikan di sini. Okey, cabaran di sini kalau tuan-tuan Datuk, di mana apa yang kami buat di sini ialah pertama kami kena gubalkan modul tersebut mengikut kesesuaian mereka. Sebabnya banyak grafik-grafik, kita tadi banyak elemen-elemen yang kita katakan menggunakan elemen kepada illustration, grafik, macam kita kalau kita yang biasa ni kita boleh menggunakan modul yang mempunyai kepada instruction kepada grafik tadi tu, tapi mereka ni tak nampak. So bagaimana nak terjemahkan grafik tu kepada bentuk braille? Di sinilah kami kena menjadikan elemen kepada grafik yang berbentuk foto tadi tu kepada tulisan dan memudahkan mereka untuk membaca dan mereka untuk menggunakan. So cabaran di sini, di situlah antara cabaran kita lah yang berkaitan dengan kumpulan seperti ini. Okey, so untuk fasa pertama kita telah menjalankan seramai hampir tak salah saya dalam 20 orang lah di kalangan tenaga pengajar, dan mereka ini adalah kalangan para orang buta, di mana mereka akan mengajar di kalangan para pelajar yang memang terdiri kebanyakan semuanya masalah dengan penglihatan. Okey. So apabila kita melaksanakan fasa pertama ni, kita menampak apa dia punya masalah dia. Kita memang nampak masalah dekat situ. Masalah pertama ialah kita masih lagi meletakkan modul kita ni seperti macam mana yang biasa. Ada setengah-setengah modul. So pada tahun 2020, kita membuat fasa kedua latihan, di mana kita telah sasarkan lebih daripada 20 orang para pengajar daripada MAB ni. So di situlah kami membuat banyak perubahan. Di situlah saya berjumpa dengan pihak MAB untuk berbincang lagi apakah penambahbaikan. Menariknya di sini adalah saya katakan tadi kadang-kadang golongan-golongan upaya ni yang melibatkan penglihatan ni, mereka pun ada naluri berniaga seperti orang biasa juga sebenarnya. Kalau ikut kepada the nature of the business, kepada mereka ni kebanyakan terlibat dalam bidang yang melibatkan servis. Orang buta contohnya macam bidang massage, bidang kebanyakan macam tu, kebanyakan spa dan sebagainya. Okey, tetapi bila kita berjumpa dengan mereka sebelum kita berjalankan latihan, mereka ni lebih terarah kepada produk sebenarnya. So saya rasa inilah tempat yang paling sesuai untuk kita bincangkan dengan lebih menarik lagi, kerana mereka ni adalah satu kumpulan yang memang memerlukan kepada satu perhatian yang lebih. Mungkin ada sesuatu perkara yang kita boleh tambahkan baik dari segi mereka punya penglibatan dalam bidang keusahawanan. Kepada yang dari segi fizikal mungkin ada masalah, tapi kepada mereka yang mempunyai masalah kelainan segi kekurangan tadi tu, iaitu penglihatan tadi tu, di sini kita perlu berikan banyak pendedahan kepada itu. So mereka berminat ke arah yang macam tu. Kalau boleh mereka nak ada produk mereka untuk dijual seperti mana yang dibuat. Okey, di sinilah saya melihat kembali apakah kita punya pendekatan, metod dalam pengajaran kita, pedagogi yang kita nak sampaikan kepada mereka tu kita telah kaji semula. So bila masuk ke fasa kedua latihan yang kita buat bersama dengan MAB ni, okay, kita telah mengubah sikit konsep dia. Dan untuk pengetahuan tuan moderator, kami sendiri sebagai pengajar pun kena ikut mereka. Sebabnya mereka ni salah satu kelebihan mereka adalah gunakan smartphone. Kami kena ubah pula smartphone kami ikut macam mereka juga. Ada dia punya kata ada bunyi dia, okey, kena ubah sebab memang kita boleh set kat sini. Saya pun dah minta para peserta tadi tu tolong bantu saya untuk saya set balik saya punya handphone ni. Senang saya nak ajar mereka untuk gunakan WhatsApp, nak ajar mereka Facebook menggunakan handphone. Sebab kalau gunakan komputer ni dia punya kata apa, saya nampak dari segi literasi tu agak kurang sikit. Mereka ni mahir menggunakan handphone sebenarnya. So kita terpaksa ubah dia pendekatan tadi tu, di mana kita sendiri menggunakan handphone dan menggunakan pendekatan mereka sendiri dengan teknologi mereka yang dah mereka selesa tadi tu, dan kita mengajar seperti mana yang mereka sendiri gunakan. Itu kita nak bagi sama balik dengan mereka supaya kita semasa kita menyampaikan kelas-kelas Facebook, contohnya kelas Instagram dan kelas yang berkaitan dengan teknikal dalam digital marketing ni lebih mudah lagi disampaikan dengan kesesuaian dengan kemampuan mereka di situ. Itu satu keadaan yang menarik lah dalam kita menjalankan latihan. Okay? Boleh saya katakan satu pengalaman untuk kami lah bersama dengan sebenarnya sahabat saya juga. Okey, dan satu lagi yang special project yang kami terlibat juga ialah ini sendiri atas inisiatif yang dibuat di dalam sistem saya sendiri. Saya juga lah merupakan pensyarah di Politeknik dan kita juga mengadakan satu program khas di bawah TVET program di mana kita bersama pelajar pekak dan bisu. Mengajar subjek usahawan untuk pekak dan bisu. Okey, di Politeknik dan College Community ni ataupun JPPKK ni kita ada lebih kurang lebih daripada 10 institusi yang mempunyai pelajar di kalangan CJ kemahiran khas ni. CJ kemahiran khas ni ada, tak salah saya ada 15. Antaranya seperti hotel and catering, pembinaan, penyelenggaraan mekanikal, kulineri dan macam-macam lagi lah yang lebih kepada asas. Okay? So pelajar-pelajar ini mempunyai masalah dari segi masalah, satu, kebanyakan mereka ialah pekak dan bisu, satu lagi ialah masalah pembelajaran. Okay? So bagi di Politeknik Tuanku Syed Sirajuddin Perlis, saya di kalangan kita dah mengambil di kalangan para pelajar yang tak ramai di sini, jangan tak ramai dalam satu kemasukan tu. Kita dalam 20 lebih, kita ambil mereka untuk mengajar tentang e-usahawan. So apa yang modul kita buat dalam modul e-usahawan di peringkat MDEC tu kita bawa pergi kepada mereka. Dan kita latihkan mereka supaya mereka lebih, orang kata, lebih mempunyai kompetensi ke arah itu. Itu pun cabaran juga, Tuan Moderator kan. Saya bukan mengajar saja, saya terpaksa menggunakan seorang lagi instructor lah untuk dia punya bahasa isyarat kat situ. That is a challenge. Okay, so apa yang saya nampak kat sini, minat mereka terhadap program seperti ini adalah satu benda yang saya rasa amat mereka nak lah. Dan saya rasa sebenarnya kalau ikut perancangan saya pada masa selepas sesi tersebut, kita juga dah merancangkan program ini diadakan di peringkat yang lebih luas lah, bukan di institusi saya, tapi juga melibatkan sistem TVET itu sendiri, sebab melibatkan college community dan politeknik. Tapi disebabkan pandemik ni, COVID ni, kita tak boleh berada dalam bentuk fizikal. Sebab saya percaya walaupun keadaan mana sekalipun, mereka perlu, macam Cik Ahmad cakap tadi tu, dia punya human touch tu kena ada juga dengan para peserta yang seperti ini. So kita perlu mempunyai satu pendekatan lah yang berbeza kepada bagaimana kita nak sampaikan latihan ini kepada mereka. Itu saja, Cik Zali.
Terima kasih Encik Azizi. Interesting to hear that kata in terms of training, I think the keyword is how this trainer need to immerse with the environment, with the way how this kata OKU community learn ataupun belajar, right? So and then maybe what are the maybe from the trainers point of view, with your special project and everything, what are the required support to expand or to improve in term of this existing training program or module?
Okey, saya melihat kat sini pertama mungkin sebabnya para pelajar ni, ataupun trainer yang terlibat dalam contoh macam MAB ni, kita apa yang modul kita bangunkan kepada mereka akan tukarkan kepada bentuk braille kat situ. Di sini saya percaya salah satu dari perkara yang saya kena lihat ialah kita sebagai trainer pun mesti mempunyai satu kemarahan khas ke arah itulah. Maksudnya itu lebih mendekatkan kita dengan mereka dalam kita membuat pengajaran. Memanglah kita mempunyai satu knowledge yang agak baik dari segi subject matter expert tadi itu, tetapi dari segi yang extend tadi itu, yang berkaitan dengan kurang upaya punya kompetensi tadi itu, kita perlu ada dari diri kita juga. Di situ salah satu perkara yang kita kena tengok semula. Dan mungkin macam tadi, penglibatan daripada agensi juga perlu diperhebatkan dalam memastikan program-program seperti yang melibatkan special project macam ni kena ada lah. Seperti yang saya katakan tadi, mereka juga ingin menjual produk yang macam mana orang lain jual, bukan setakat servis. Ini kepada kes yang dikatakan saya tadi tu di kalangan cacat penglihatan. So ada di kalangan pelajar kita pun ada yang telah berjaya juga dalam program yang di bawah kita punya usahawan ini juga, dan mereka ni terlibat selepas menamatkan pengajian mereka. Sebagai contoh, kalau saya rasa Senator Datuk pun boleh tahu tentang salah satu program ialah National Olympic Datuk 2018. Lepas tu kita ada satu lagi International Olympic Rusia 2021. Ini pelajar saya seorang pelajar saya, Muhammad Hafizunif, dia tak dapat dan menyertailah sebabkan keadaan COVID tadi itu. Tapi dia adalah merupakan salah satu daripada produk yang kita berjaya hasilkan lah. Dan sekarang ni beliau merupakan seorang usahawan di tempat dia di Perlis sekarang ni, menjalankan perniagaan yang dalam kaitan dengan hotel and catering kat situ. Okay. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Azizi. Okay,
kalau saya boleh?
Ya, betul.
Okay.
Terima kasih Cik Azizi. Thank you for doing what you've been doing for the community. I just have to say that satu yang saya ingin sarankan di sini adalah apabila kita mengajar OKU itu, kita perlu juga cuba memahami kategori yang lain kerana kita punya 7 kategori. Itu satu. Alhamdulillah, you have been working with the blind. Tetapi macam seperti saya katakan di sini juga, kita kadang-kadang terlepas pandang kerana apa yang kita bualkan di sini sebenarnya, Tuan Moderator, mungkin sahabat-sahabat saya yang pekak pun ingin juga mendengar apa yang kita bualkan kan. So mungkin kita terlepas pandang untuk mengambil seorang jurubahasa isyarat. Okey, itu satu. Tetapi yang lagi satu yang saya kalau boleh, Mainik juga, saya kalau boleh dan juga Encik Z, ya, kalau misal kata kita mengajar OKU itu, apa kata kita menjemput juga carer mereka ataupun ibu bapa mereka untuk turut serta bersama, kerana ada di antara sahabat kita ni, mereka memang minat untuk menjadi usahawan. Namun begitu, mereka perlukan sokongan. So I think it's also a good idea if we get their carers involved and also their parents involved. Bukannya diorang tahu, cuma kadang-kadang parents dengan carer tu diorang pun tidak berapa savvy. Saya perlu katakan di sini, sahabat saya OKU ni diorang handal betul guna telefon, lagi terror, dan diorang laju sangat. I mean, and I'm sure you guys have experienced that, diorang bijak. And then especially the ones yang autisma, they have photographic memory, some of them. and sungguh pun ada setengah daripada mereka tidak boleh bertutur, tapi they have the interest and they want to do it, even though kadang satu jari, you know, it's amazing when all of you have been training us, and it's not just training us to be a business men or business women, but also you are empowering us. Do you know how it feels like to be able to have people see our product, have people see our initiative? Besar sangat hati kami. Jadi saya cuma nak katakan saya begitu bersyukur. I'm very thankful for all of you, for each and every one of you doing everything that you're doing. I wish I can reach out to you and give you all a big hug because you've done so much for my community. But I'm just saying that what if we also, masa kita ada training ni, kita jemput the carers as well, Tuan Moderator, supaya the carers pun akan tahu dan dia boleh membantu. So you know, it's you because like I said, not all of us are able to do a lot of things, so we need support. So we have support from you, but it's also for us, it's also good for us to have our family members or our carers to be part of it, so that they can also support us as well. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Interesting. So, we took note on your suggestion to like our berbahasa isyarat, and then we need to understand also the 7 category that you mentioned just now. Definitely on our side, we will learn on that methods, and then in terms of the carers and everything. So we believe that all of us from the public sector to private sector try to empower, like you mentioned, try to empower our OKU community to, because they have this interest. They want to do, but of course they need a support, not just from their own committee, but also for the rest of the committee, including the carers and everything. So I received a few questions here, Dato'. So and the rest of the panelists, I believe the first question I can I think I can open to anybody, because they kata as a showcase, is there any e-commerce application owned and operated by the OKU? I believe some of you already mentioned about that, but maybe we can give 1 or 2 example or the e-commerce application or site or e-commerce shop that owned by OKU. Maybe we start with Dato' first.
I have to be very honest with you. I haven't been really following the list of the updated usahawan OKU. Tetapi saya of the pandemic at the moment of actually moving towards and ones that's helping them not just financially, but it's also helping them dari segi making them feel good and not think about the problems that they're going through. Teaching them on how to fend for themselves and teaching them how to be independent is wonderful. And I just need to say that right now, the help that you guys have giving my friends is really, really helpful, because it's not just helping them in business, but it also elevates their spirit, right at this moment. So bukan saja kita mengajar mereka untuk berdikari dari segi bisnes, Tuan Moderator, tetapi sebenarnya apa yang kalian lakukan ketika ini adalah memberikan kami semangat untuk meneruskan kehidupan kami, kerana dengan keadaan pandemik ini, inilah some of the things that will divert our attention from the real situation right now. So I don't have the updated list, but all I can say is all of my friends are now going online. So kalau begitu kita kena teruslah dengan all the platforms. Even my Nick tu kena kerja keras lagi lah untuk membantu kami ya, supaya we can go down and help more people, so that, like I said, it's not just about teaching them to make money, it's also to make them forget about, or for a second forget about the real condition out there, because kebanyakan daripada kami memang tidak boleh keluar. So kami duduk di rumah depan telefon, depan komputer, depan laptop. Itulah kehidupan kami. So yeah.
Thank you, Dato'.
Allah Akbar.
Since Dato' mentioned about mining, now Faris, so can you just provide some sort like a case study or success story to give semangat to all this OKU out there in terms of the e-commerce adoption? So over to you, Faris.
Okay. We have a few lah. We have a few yang daripada income 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 sampailah ke 100,000. We have a few. Because macam mana tadi yang YB Senator bagi tahu, allow the carers to join them for business, for the courses. Yes, dalam Mainik punya program-program latihan, kami benarkan mereka bawa, kadang dia punya abang, kadang dia punya adik, kadang dia punya parents, to sit together with them. Even macam for the blinds, for the blinds sometimes dia bawa dia punya mak bapak. So mak bapak dia akan explain and then dia akan terus type dekat dia punya braille machine tu. Because macam Mainik kami tak ada lagi satu modul dalam bentuk braille. Kan, dekat situlah the parents will help them. Jadi macam dekat Mainik ni kami latihan-latihan kami dah buat sebelum ni, dia lebih cover macam, tapi 53% of the participant memang OKU physical. Lepas tu diikuti dengan OKU penglihatan, pendengaran, kan ada juga yang lembam, yang lembam pun ada jual kita juga, dan yang mental. Ada juga yang mental dan yang autism. Macam ada satu kita punya case, kalau macam kita cerita pasal AzizJaafar.my. AzizJaafar.my ni bapa dia berhenti kerja, mak dia berhenti kerja because dia punya anak semua autism. They have no choice and then they start their business. And then mereka start jual loyang di Felda Tun Ghaffar, Melaka. Nama website dia is AzizJaafar.my. Alhamdulillah sekarang dia dah pergi ke export market everything kan. The first 3 month income dia dah mencecah 50,000. Jual loyang sahaja. Can we imagine jual loyang boleh dapat pendapatan yang besar. And then macam saya beritahu tadi, kami ada juga satu usahawan minyakbidara.my. Dia punya website dia is minyakbidara.my. Apa yang kami perasan apabila kami pergi berjumpa dengan OKU sama ada di kawasan bandar ataupun di kawasan luar bandar, soalan pertama yang mereka nak tahu adalah macam mana kami nak belajar, macam mana nak jual online. Itu soalan pertama sekali. Boleh tak ajar kami macam mana kami nak marketkan produk kami online? Itu yang pertama. Yang keduanya mereka akan tanya platform mana yang kami sesuai gunakan. Platform mana yang kami sesuai gunakan. Jadi macam Mainik, kami memang tidak ada e-marketplace ke apa, jadi kami terpaksa put aside that one. Jadi kami cuma akan berkongsi pengetahuan, berkongsi platform apa yang kami tahu dan apa yang kami mahir. Dan yang ketiga, apa yang mereka tanya adalah mereka nakkan handholding. Mereka nakkan handholding dan last sekali barulah mereka tanya ada tak grant ke, bantuan ke untuk dapatkan laptop, untuk dapatkan handphone yang terbaik, yang baru, yang mereka boleh gunakan. Ini adalah 4 perkara apabila kita pergi buat outreach program. Jadi macam contoh minyakbidara.my. Ini minyakbidara.my ni suami isteri. Mereka ni adalah OKU. Jadi sebelum ni mereka jual juga di platform social media dan mereka gunakan juga cara tradisional, iaitu mereka pass flyers, hantar ke petrol kiosk, letak di surau, letak di masjid. Jadi we enable these people dengan lagi satu platform iaitu website. Nah, sekarang macam minyakbidara.my ni alhamdulillah kalau ikut apa yang diberitahu pada bulan lepas, mereka dah mampu mendapat pendapatan secara secara konsisten 4 ke 5 ribu ringgit sebulan. And for your guys punya information, seperti mana yang YB Senator Datuk beritahu, 4 and 5,000 untuk golongan OKU ni banyak pada diorang. Kan? Pada diorang banyak dapat membantu orang lain. Jadi macam contohnya Dave Garage yang saya bagi tahu tadi, Dave Garage ni dia punya founder adalah 2 orang paraplegic, iaitu Encik Afiq Barni dan juga Encik Azhar yang lumpur pinggang ke bawah, dan mereka berada di Johor Bahru. Daripada mereka buat workshop di tepi rumah, sekarang mereka dah ada workshop yang besar. Dan sekarang ni kami tengah bantu mereka untuk mereka perbaiki lagi mereka punya packaging. Kami linkkan dengan Matrix untuk mereka ekspor produk mereka keluar. Ini yang kami tengah buatkan. Macam cuci kapet. Yang lain-lain tu banyak lagi. Macam contohnya macam usahawan-usahawan yang biasa yang dapat pendapatan 3,000, 4,000 kan. Macam dia buat fotografi, Encik Saman Nazli. Audience kat luar tu boleh tengok mereka punya website gambarmurah.my. Ini dia boleh dapat lebih kurang 2,000 sebulan dia cakap. Kan, daripada dia buat fotografi, dia jual dia punya kreatif fotos online, sama juga Encik Mio Amiruddin. Encik Mio Amiruddin ni mioamiruddin.my. Ini website dia. Dia menjual premium items, souvenir items online untuk market di luar sana. Jadi inilah antara perkongsian daripada saya, Tuan Moderator.
Okay, thank you Encik Faris. Okay, maybe you can hear from Shopee. Just give one best example of your OKU yang already successful in Shopee platform.
Sure. So mentioned Zida just now. If you look it up on Shopee, her store name's Pasar Kedai. Right, so just look it up, easy to find. You can find all the dry goods she sells on Shopee as well. There are many more, but I will stick to one.
Okay, great. So from eLocal, Ahmad?
Yep, I think for eLocal, kita punya usahawan is on Desa Mall at KPLB lah, which is on Shopee as well. Dia menjual barang-barang kraftangan. So diorang ni basically focusing on doing crafts. And then what we do is we actually teach them how to do different SKUs. For example, different colors, and then the sizes. And then what actually interesting is that we are able to talk to them about the prices, because I think sometimes when they price the product tu mungkin lower from the market value. So we actually tell them, okay, the best price for this is so and so. So this is how you price your product. Tapi one of the seller kita ada dekat the Samad KPLB is on Shopee lah, which I think she is doing very, very well. Apparently banyak produk-produk untuk hamper. Bila bila hamper je, we actually ask her to bagi kita, and then we do a hamper and then we actually sell it. So one of the good example lah of seller.
Okay, thank you, Cik Ahmad. So okay, Cik Azizi, just one from the Isawan punya program. So maybe you have one that really can excite people out there in terms of their achievements.
Okey, terima kasih Tuan Moderator. Mungkin di sini apa yang kita nak daripada program usahawan, khususnya pada di kalangan pelayan upaya ini, saya melihat, sebab saya terlibat banyak dengan program di bawah TVET yang melibatkan para pelajar, dan kita mungkin kena lihat kembali lah pencapaian, sebab dalam TVET sistem ataupun di mana-mana para pelajar graduan yang alumni yang keluar daripada TVET, ataupun contoh yang saya ambil paling dekat di sini adalah kelainan upaya di sini, mereka ni telah mempunyai kemahiran dan mempunyai segala bentuk kompetensi kemahiran tertentu yang kita nak kita nak bawa mereka ke arah menjadi seorang usahawan yang betul-betul berjaya seperti orang lain. Di sinilah peranan dimainkan oleh kita bersama ialah bagaimana memikirkan the best. Saya nampak tadi Mainik pun tadi saya nampak bagus segi arah tu, mungkin kita boleh banyakkan satu hubungan yang lebih erat dengan industri yang terlibat atau agensi yang terlibat. Sebab kalau saya ambil contoh macam kes Wan Hafiz Yunis ni, beliau telah mendapat grant daripada jabatan daripada GTK sebanyak 49,000 untuk tujuan dia punya perniagaan dia. So kita nak lagi orang yang macam ni, dan kita nak lagi ramai usahawan di kalangan kelainan upaya dalam apa jua 7 bidang yang 7 elemen yang YB Datuk maksudkan tadi tu. So inilah hasrat dalam usahawan, kita bukan setakat nak mereka bekerja saja dalam bidang mereka, kita nak beri mereka seorang usahawan. So ini yang kita boleh fikirkan bersama nanti, insyaAllah.
Okay, insyaAllah. Terima kasih Encik Azizi. So we move to the second question. This question a bit long. Dia kata orang kelainan upaya, orang kelainan upaya, specifically blind OKU, they have their business. For those these patient people, how this digital technology can help them, especially to manage their cash flow and the business financial. I think I direct this question to Datuk first, and then to Cik Azizi.
I really hate it when the question comes back to me, but thank you. Okay, you know what? Right now, technology is the one that is top of the list, because kebanyakan daripada kami ketidakupayaan kami bukanlah diri kami, sebenarnya adalah keadaan di sekeliling. Satu is people's perception towards us. Okay, so that public service announcement is very important. Second is having the peranti, the gadgets, and third is having the gadget is one thing, but when it doesn't have the software that we need. Okay, we speak about the deaf, they need sign language interpreters, or they need to have the closed captioning. Okay, ataupun untuk yang blind, of course dengan teknologi, dia punya apps, dia punya software, so that they can listen, but we forget the other categories as well, especially the ones yang masalah pembelajaran or yang autism. So we need to make sure, in order for us to push our entrepreneurs, the disabled, orang kurang upaya entrepreneurs forward, we must make sure that it is, and they have softwares or apps which is savvy for them. Saya bagi contoh, kalau misal kata mereka yang punya autism, bagaimana mereka tidak boleh menggunakan app yang ada flashing, because sometimes even amongst us, the rest of us, it can trigger us to have seizures. So benda-benda macam gini kita tidak boleh fikir, oh kalau ini orang dia begini dia boleh guna gini. It doesn't work for all categories, you know. So there's no strobe, there's no flashing lights, and the colors have to be pastel. And then some of them are dyslexic, so how they read daripada belakang ke depan, you know. So how? So all these things they have, we need to make sure that there are adaptive ways for them to make sure that they can excel in doing business. Teaching them is one thing, but making sure that what we want to teach them gets through to them is another thing. So we can berbincang di sini sampai berhari-hari, tetapi apabila terdapat kekangan daripada mereka menerima informasi itu, then you know we didn't succeed at all. Say for example, you're talking to me, right? And you think that I can understand what you're saying, but in actual fact, I cannot, because when you speak to me, I give you an example. If you speak to somebody, for some of us who are slow learners, kalau kita nak buat poster tu tidak boleh terlalu banyak informasi. Dia kena guna macam 1 gambar aja, 2 gambar aja, 3 gambar aja atau 4 gambar aja, dan make sure the point it's in point form, and jangan berkecamuk dengan informasi. So Tuan Moderator, apabila kita ingin memastikan apa yang kita ajar itu sampai kepada sahabat-sahabat OKU kita, orang upaya, kita kena pastikan it's the correct technique and that they are understanding what we are teaching them. Kadang-kadang kita ajar dia orang macam faham tak? Faham. Tahu tak? Tahu. Tapi lepas tu dia lupa, you know, because dia tidak dapat, tak boleh kecapi what we're trying to teach them. So colors play an important role, music, voice, all the other technologies play an important role. Macam saya kata, don't assume, because when you assume, it makes an ASS out of you and me. People are not the same. Different categories, dia punya keperluan adalah berbeza.
Interesting. So mungkin Encik Azizi.
Okey, terima kasih Tuan Moderator. YB Datuk dah cover banyak benda tu sebenarnya. Okey, seperti apa yang saya nak sampaikan sikit daripada YB Datuk tadi tu, sebenarnya betul setiap mereka yang punya kelainan upaya ni bermacam-macam cara. Dia macam teknik tu, kaedah tu. That's why dekat sini teknologi tak boleh kita nak elakkan. Tetap akan kita kena terima lah. That's why sekarang dalam norma baru ni nak tak nak semua pihak kena adapt dengan keadaan yang berlaku ini. So mungkin di sini apa yang saya nampak, mereka di kalangan kelainan upaya ni nak tak nak kita kena pastikan dibimbing juga dengan walaupun teknologi kita dah berikan pada mereka. Saya rasa pengalaman daripada Mainik sendiri, Cik Faris pun dah nampak benda ni, bagaimana dia telah menjalankan, dia dah tahu bagaimana keadaan mereka di kalangan kelainan upaya ni. So that's why saya rasa nak tak nak teknologis tetap teknologis. Kalau saya katakan di luar tu ada bermacam-macam software offshore dan sebagainya, kita boleh access kat situ, tak ada masalah. Mereka boleh adapt, tetapi nak tak nak kita kena bimbing di situ. So saya rasa itu sajalah daripada saya lah. Okay, Tuan Moderator. Terima kasih.
Okay. Thank you, Encik Azizi. Okay, we move to the last question, okay, for today. So here they mentioned about how to cater to disabled shoppers. Any specific application for this, or any assistive technology to this blind community? I believe not just blind, maybe orang peka dan lain-lain. Maybe these are the 7 categories that we learned just now. So I would like to add to channel this question to all these 3 platform providers or e-commerce providers. How you assist this community to become a good shopper? Yeah, so maybe we can start with Shopee first. Zeli.
Sure, yeah, happy to help. So I think a few things naturally lends a good shopping experience for buyers from the OKU community. The fact that products generally from e-commerce get delivered to your doorstep already removes a big barrier, right? So if you have mobility issues, the products can come to you rather than you having to go to the retail store to get a product as well. We've also found that there are a lot of assistive apps to help you, whether you're visually impaired, whether or not you cannot hear or read, that will actually read back the content to you. And this is both available on app as well as web. So on app, I mentioned there's this app called TalkBack that really helps with mobile. On web, there are apps like Chrome extensions, like Chromebox, for example, where you can install into browser and they read out the website for you. That makes it easier for you to understand what's going on as well. So there are these apps that help the buyers as well. The other thing that we did recently that's also going to help some buyers, especially when it comes to cash, is payment side. So integrated Shopee Pay into the app itself. And that's going to help with the delivery and payments as well for some of our OKU buyers. So hopefully as we get along the way, we'll build more and more of these technologies to make the buying experience a lot easier for our members in the community.
Thank you, Zach. So maybe from the e-local perspective, so how do you help this online shopper?
I think for e-local, it's actually more on what Shopee is doing. So what we do is, what Shopee or any other platforms provide the community, the online shoppers, especially for the OKU. So what we do is on our site, we try to translate to better, mungkin lebih senang untuk dia faham how to actually buy, how to receive the product. Because I think the technology that Shopee has implement or they own buat is more or less very good. But how do we make sure that this information can be used by them? So tugas kita e-local ni adalah memudahkan. So we actually make it easier for them to understand, okay, how do I get the product to be on my doorstep? How do I use the read aloud by the website, and all this. So sebenarnya kita memudahkan diorang lah. So on my side, the technology we leave it to Shopee or any other marketplace, but we try to understand what we can translate. Apa yang kita boleh offer, boleh memudahkan pembeli-pembeli kita lah. That's on our side.
Okay, thank you, Encik Ahmad. Okay, Faris, so over to you.
How do we, because kebanyakan daripada partisipan yang kita pernah latih ni, they are from the OKU community, so they will understand better. Jadi kalau macam kita tengok kebanyakan customer yang membeli daripada partisipan kami ni, basically mereka ni merupakan OKU yang sama ada OKU penglihatan ataupun OKU fizikal. Jadi not so much yang kami boleh tap into the market tentang kecacatan yang lain-lain itulah, kan, OKU yang lain-lain tu. Itulah yang sebab bab ni pun saya kurang expert, kan. Jadi mereka lebih faham macam mana nak susun atur website mereka tu. Sebab kami boleh bagi guideline, tapi nanti mereka akan ubah, kan? Mereka akan ubah ikut kesesuaian mereka sendiri.
Thank you, Encik Faris. So since we have another 12 minutes or 10 minutes, so to close this session, let's hear some advice from all our panelists to OKU out there on what are the potential participation in this e-commerce. Maybe we give 1 or 2 minutes from each of the panelists to give some wise advice, to give some sort of semangat or some sort of like what we call that, advice in terms of they need to move to e-commerce, they need to adopt technology and everything. I think we start with Encik Azizi first. We save Datuk for the last, the best for last. Encik Azizi.
Okey, terima kasih Tok Moderator. Okey, apa yang saya nak cakap sikit lah kot, tak banyak. Okey, berkaitan dengan apa yang saya nak di kalangan para mereka yang dikatakan golongan upaya ini ialah di mana nak tak nak kita mesti kena berubah ke arah yang dikatakan tadi itu, perubahan ke arah kepada social media marketing lah, sepadan mudah sekali. Sebab dalam peringkat social media marketing ni, kalau kita lihat dia ada banyak peringkat, dia ada banyak proses sebenarnya. So kita taklah nak go through terus kepada yang lebih advance dan sebagainya. So dapat masukkan produk dalam Shopee pun itu adalah satu yang terbaik sebenarnya. So kena cuba, nak tak nak kena cuba di sini, dan saya mengharapkan para sahabat saya ataupun mereka yang kalangan kurang upaya ini supaya untuk teruslah mencari peluang di sini, sebab sekarang ni dah tak macam dulu. Kalau sekarang ini kita nak akses dengan lebih mudah lagi, kita nak dapatkan pasaran dengan lebih meluas lagi. So macam mana sekalipun sikap dan juga kita punya persepsi dan juga kita punya kehendak kita tu kena berubah ke arah itu. So nak tak nak sahabat saya di luar tadi tu, anda perlu berubah dan perlu menerima teknologi dan anda kena pelajari, dan insyaAllah mungkin ada pihak yang boleh membantu, dan carilah mereka yang boleh membantu macam kami di kalangan usahawan subject matter expert. InsyaAllah kita boleh bantu, tak ada masalah. Bila-bila masa boleh dipanggil untuk membantu. Tak payah bayaran pun tak apa. Kalau saya sendiri saya suka, benda ni pun benda yang kita suka buat hari-hari dan sebagainya pun tak apa. Kita boleh bantu tuan-tuan dan perempuan semua, insyaAllah. Dan saya harapkan mereka terus berjaya dalam bidang yang mereka cuburi ini. Sekali terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Azizi. So, okay, mungkin daripada Encik Ahmad Shah, e-local.
Baik, saya sebenarnya nak menjemput semua usahawan daripada 5 negeri, Negeri Sembilan, Sabah, Sarawak, Terengganu dan juga wilayah, di mana kami dalam sesi onboarding usahawan luar bandar ke Desa Muat KPLB. So saya nak jemput kalau senator, kalau ada kawan-kawan yang memang berminat untuk berniaga secara tertalian bersama dengan Desa Muat KPLB dan juga e-local. Kita dalam sesi menjelajah secara atas maya. Kita buat kluster online bersama dengan semua usahawan daripada 5 negeri ini, dan kami dalam proses untuk membantu mereka, especially lah yang saya tahu memang ada banyak usahawan baru yang terkesan, ada yang berhenti kerja, yang tidak tahu bagaimana nak berniaga secara tertalian. So especially yang di mana orang-orang KU yang kami boleh bantu dengan kita panggil fast pace or fast moving. Sebab tagline e-local lah the e-commerce enabler. Kami enablekan usahawan tu. So enable tu in whatever way we must enable them, especially dalam pandemik. Sebab saya tahu ada juga usahawan yang tak ada produk. Dia kata, Cik Shah, macam mana saya nak menjual lah? So kami ada list of usahawan yang ada produk yang boleh membantu dia. Okay, you boleh jadi agent kita, you boleh jadi stockist kita, you can start off with one thing so that you can learn how to sell online. So bila kita kata the enabler tu bermakna kita enablekan semua orang, tapi untuk OKU specialize on them. Janganlah malu, tanya je, kita akan pastikan, especially zaman time ni dalam masa ujung dalam quarter 3, quarter 4 ni yang nak habis tahun ni, untuk membantu diorang at least menjana sebanyak 10% pendapatan pun okey. Itu yang paling utama. So saya harapkan nanti saya boleh sharekan lah negeri-negeri mana yang kami akan menjelajah secara maya ni. Join lah, memang join, dan dia percuma. Percuma, join, and we can help you to sell. Especially on the platform seperti Shopee. Shopee ada yang kita sekarang ni. So that's how you go lah.
Okay. Since you mentioned, thank you, Cik Ahmad. Since you mentioned about Shopee, I think I give this part to Zed lah. Yeah.
Sure, thank you. So I echo what Shah says. The most important thing is actually to try. A lot of people, whether or not you're OKU, biggest reason why they don't try is because they fear, right? Oh, I don't know how to start business. I don't know this. It's very scary. I don't know what to do if something happens. And that's what's stopping people. So in order for you to find success online, nobody is born knowing how to sell on e-commerce. We all learn by trying. So don't be afraid, especially because now a lot of the services, being able to set up a store on Shopee, etc., it's free. So actually there's very little to cost to the seller itself. So all you need to do is just to start a store and try. And to try, you get better, and that's how you find success online. And the best thing is that a lot of people think that, oh, business is scary because other people will fight with you and then it's very nasty. But the reality is that a lot of the sellers on the platform in Malaysia, right, are very friendly, and they're more than willing to help you. And the fact that you are willing to try, they are willing to donate the time to make sure that you can succeed as well. So biggest advice, don't be afraid, just try. Try and you learn and you get better and you will succeed.
Thank you, Zed. And we move to Haris.
Okay, pada rakan-rakan di luar sana, rakan-rakan OKU, kan, saya minta kalau bolehlah ambil peluang. Because apa? Sebab kerajaan Malaysia, kerajaan kita benar-benar mahu membantu anda semua untuk berjaya. Buang rasa malu. Sebab apa? Sebab kebanyakan OKU, usahawan OKU yang kami jumpa di luar tu, mereka ni pemalu. Mereka tak nak keluar daripada kemampuan yang ada. Kalau boleh keluar, beranikan diri. Ya? Kalau macam katakan nak belajar, banyak platform-platform yang ada yang boleh memberikan free education, macam mana dekat Facebook, how to go about pakai Google, everything and what not. So yang seterusnya adalah tolong fahami ekosistem e-dagang, ya, because e-dagang is the way forward. Untuk pengetahuan rakan-rakan di luar sana, Dosem pun dah keluarkan ya statistik yang paling baru pada bulan Julai itu hari, iaitu jualan e-dagang, pendapatan e-dagang dekat Malaysia pada tahun lepas berjumlah 896 bilion ringgit. That is a huge amount dan saya yakin tahun ni boleh mencecah 1 trilion ringgit. Tapi di manakah anda dekat situ? Kan? Jadi kalau boleh kita harap anda faham. Jangan ingat oh saya dah ada Facebook, dah cukup. Saya dah ada e-marketplace, saya dah cukup. No, awak kena faham ekosistem e-dagang, dia complement each other. Ya, awak perlukan social messenger, awak perlukan social media, awak perlukan e-marketplaces, awak perlukan ujung-ujung nanti towards the end you need a website, ya, and also you need to know how to leverage dekat Google, because Google is the solution provider for everyone. The biggest chunk of customer pool datang daripada Google. Kalau kita cerita konteks Malaysia, sebulan rakyat Malaysia gunakan Google sebanyak 500 juta kali. So, kita nak cari apa pun sekarang kita pergi ke Google. Kan? Kita pun nak buat apa pun sekarang kita pergi ke Google. So that belajar macam mana nak take advantage daripada Google. Jadi, dekat sini you boleh pergi ke website MDEC. Kat website MDEC pun ada tunjukkan kursus-kursus percuma yang disediakan untuk usahawan-usahawan. Betul Cik Izali? Dan juga MDEC hari ini dah lancarkan pula guidebook untuk usahawan-usahawan daripada sektor F&B, sektor retail. Jadi download free, boleh belajar. Sekarang information is everywhere. Google saja. Itu saja Cik Izali.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Faris. Okay, Datuk, so your last advice to the all OKU out there.
Okey, saya cuma nak beritahu sahabat-sahabat saya di luar sana, bulan itu tidak akan jatuh ke riba kita. Untuk bulan tu kita berkawan dengan bulan itu untuk menjadi terang dan bercahaya seperti bulan tu, kita mesti bersahabat dengan bintang dan cakrawala. So maksud saya di sini adalah kita belajar dan belajar dan belajar. Kita jangan harap benda itu kita dah tahu sikit-sikit kita dah terror. Tidak. Kita mesti belajar dan timba ilmu dan kemudiannya terus berusaha untuk maju. Perkataan mustahil itu seperti saya katakan sebelum ini tidak wujud. Mustahil adalah untuk orang-orang yang tidak mahu mencuba. Seperti yang kita ketahui, banyak peluang ada di luar sana. Ambillah peluang itu dan ini semua tidak akan boleh berlaku sekiranya kita tidak usaha untuk belajar dan untuk memperbaiki kita punya skill ya untuk to be successful. Ingatlah antara sahabat-sahabat kita juga terdapat jutawan dan seorang billionaire. Jadi you can be anything that you want to be. You just need to focus and you will get it. And with all the help from everybody in this team, I tell you, you can become one of the most successful business person if you want to be. Jadi, having said that, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I ask you to perhaps take a few minutes of your time, some maybe today or tomorrow, to just imagine what it feels like to be an OKU. Again, say for example, if you're speaking to somebody who's deaf, you need a sign language interpreter. And kadang-kadang dia orang bercakap, dia orang type ayat dia tu terbalik-terbalik. Macam dia cakap, saya hendak pergi ke kedai. Kita selalu cakap begitu. Dia akan berkata, saya pergi ke kedai hendak. So, I need you to try to feel what it feels like to be one of us in these different categories. Kami adalah kurang upaya, kami tidak kelainan, kami seperti kalian semua, dan sahabat-sahabat OKU ingatlah, sebenarnya di luar sana ramai orang yang OKU, cuma dia tidak ada kad OKU. So and then eventually all of us akan menjadi OKU satu hari nanti, Tuan Moderator. So we need to work as a team and we need to rise together. OKU or non-OKU. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Okay, great. Thank you all for your advice. If I can summarize a bit, from your last words, you mentioned about don't be shy. To all the OKU out there, don't be shy. Jangan Melayu, jangan malu. Terus belajar. People here from the government sector, from the private sector, we are here to help you. We are here to listen to you. We are here to work together with you. So come to us. We need together, like Dato' mentioned, kita tak boleh tunggu bulan jatuh ke riba. So we need to I don't know, maybe we go to that bulan, we work together as one team. Yeah. So to make sure that everybody get benefit in terms of this e-commerce. So before I end my session, I would like again to thank our panelists for making time to be with us today to discuss of this, I would say, this exciting topic. Let us hope that there will be more support, better assistance, and much technology and methodology improvement in the future to make this e-commerce accessible to all. Yeah, thank you. So over to you, Hasrul.
Thank you, Encik Norizali, and to our wonderful panel members for that great discussion relevant to the disabled community in the e-commerce space and its requirements to smoothen that transition by technology adoption. Terima kasih Yang Muhammad Dato' dan tuan-tuan semua, dan harap mungkin kita dapat berjumpa di masa lain. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the finish line of the Digital Ecosystem Week, and we are here to deliver her closing remarks. Please join me in welcoming back the woman who oversees and steers the digital adoption ecosystem in e-commerce, business digital adoption, data ecosystem development, and digital infrastructure at MDEC, and whose energy never fails to light up our sessions. Welcome back, Aiza Azri Ahmad, Chief Digital Business Officer of the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. Over to you, Aiza.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to everyone. I would like to begin by saying how delighted I am to be here today to deliver the closing remarks for Digital Ecosystems e-commerce virtual event, as well as the close for the entire week, during which digital adoption ecosystem was extensively discussed. Before I go on any further, I would like to recite a poem that was created especially for this closing ceremony by a young lady in the team that's very talented. We've all planned to adopt technology, but we never planned for a pandemic to hit. So let's pivot and adopt our strategy and keep moving forward, even just for a little bit. With that cute poem, everybody, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, throughout this week, with a large team of more than 100 passionate people, complemented with intellect and heart, the Digital Adoption Ecosystem team at MDEC aspired to create a place of inspiration where information is democratized as a wealth of knowledge was accessible, where friendships were forged and alliances created by people from anywhere in the world. It is a place where dreams and reality traversed and the outcomes transcendental, where we can unwind and plugged into a virtual world, becoming anyone at any place in any time. But how do we get there? The conversations we've had today, as well as the entire week, have given us a glimpse into our potential future, one that's centered around us as customers and as people. That world is a place of connectivity. It is a place where information transcends borders, where someone selling a product or offering a service in Africa can reach customers all the way in Malaysia at the click of a button. E-commerce is no longer a marketplace facilitating an exchange of goods and services with digitized transactional solutions, be it procuring, be it payment, be it delivery and returns. E-commerce is fast replacing brick and mortar businesses, where to stay relevant may not be having a large quantity and the best quality of products and services accessible only at a physical location. It is about having a greater reach, which only can be achieved via a virtual platform. E-commerce, ladies and gentlemen, is now an industry on its own. During our Digital Ecosystem Week, we began by introducing the digital economy and how business digital adoption at SME, small medium enterprises, will be a key driver of change, and what does it take to ensure everyone partake in the journey. We also discussed the ethics of a data-guided world in which adopting 4IR technologies is our crucible to build a resilient and a sustainable digital future. As the week progresses, we challenge status quo on data, cloud, and cybersecurity. These are the driving forces behind our protection and preservation of life in the world where virtual connectivity outpaces tactile connectivity. Noting the trends was but a start to the conversation. Laying the foundation and infrastructure to that future is paramount, and so midweek we discussed on how best to do so. Public, private collaborations. This is key. But even with the right tools and foundations, people are ultimately the driving force behind transformation and change. Malaysia and the world will need to have a push for a people-first approach to digital, cultivating an innovation culture at both the business and national levels. Once the right culture and mindset is in place, trust is formed. And through trust, people can truly tap into their ingenuity and creativity. How? Public-private collaboration is one thing, but cross-industry collaborations and activities are another. Through technology, businesses don't necessarily need to pivot to adjacent industries to seek alpha. Acquisitions of business in non-related industries have been the source of growth for many tech companies, reimagining corporate strategy as one that has now to be industry agnostic. Today, collaborations can now take place between e-hailing and e-commerce companies, but not too long ago, the idea of a hypermarket collaborating with a taxi company would be both absurd and laughable. So, ladies and gentlemen, change is inevitable. Innate within us is a fire to explore, an ambition for progress. We are dreamers that constantly look beyond the stars, craving for that next adventure into the unknown space. Yet, underneath it all lies a warmth of compassion for our neighbor, for our friends, and for our families. Our very nature of being human allows us to dream. And if that dream leads us towards a digital future, then so be it. But that does not mean we forego our freedom, ethics, and rule of law. The future must be sustainable, not for us, but for the generations that will come long after we have left this world. Our responsibility is to them, and our legacy left behind will be for them. And thus, we must strive for that balance between the algorithm and the cerebrum, the artificial and the organic, the dream and the reality. Forward into the unknown, for it is only in the confines of that space where possibilities are endless as our dreams. Dream with us, and together let us brave for a better future for you, me, and for our children. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank all the panelists, speakers, friends, alliances from all over the world that took their time out of their busy schedule to be part of Digital Adoption Ecosystem Week. I would also like to thank the MDEC leadership for allowing me the opportunity to curate a week long of webinars, panels where discourses happen to really discuss about digital adoption ecosystem. I would also like to extend that gratitude to the larger population of MDEC for being supportive and for being just available for anything that come their way to make sure that Malaysia Technology Month that we have today, this week, and there'll be more coming to you next week, a success. But most of all, I would like to thank my team at Digital Adoption Ecosystem for being what I would call the technology rock stars, the digital advocates, and for being there and for being creative, for taking on the challenges that we have been thrown into creating the best week for digital adoption ecosystem. With that, stay safe. I thank you again and be well. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Aiza, for graciously concluding the Digital Ecosystem Week and wrapping it up in a very nice tight bow. In that final session, we have concluded day 4 of the Digital Ecosystem Week at the Malaysia Tech Month 2021. I'd like to thank all our esteemed speakers all for this whole week for powering up the week with their outlooks, ideas, insights, and pragmatizing the digital economy amid today's unprecedented uncertainties. So we wish to invite our participants to join us back right here next week, 9:30 a.m. Monday, for the launch of the Digital Skills Week. Meanwhile, do check out the agenda for our satellite events happening all around the MTN 2021 space. We also invite participants to make use of the virtual networking lounges available. So you're welcome to reach out to the event admin via the chat box for any form of assistance if you require. And with that, we end this whole week on a high note. This is Hasro, your host, signing up for the day. See you next Monday, 9:30 a.m. Stay safe. Assalamualaikum.